Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be doing a Smite 2 item tier list. Really quickly, I want to thank Mytheria so much for making this. I'd reached out to him and asked if he knew where I could find one, and he just made one because he couldn't find one. So, super nice of him. I also am going to obviously link his channel and stuff below. There are a couple of tooltips that are a little bit awkward looking in this. Obviously, we're only doing tier 3 items. But like for example, this is upgraded blink. There might be an upgraded blink somewhere here, but if we don't find it, we'll just use that to function. Oh no, there is. Okay, so there's just a couple of weird tooltips. But yeah, big picture, we have our tiers. S tier is your best items in the game. Definitively, probably like to the point of like needing a nerf. A tier is what should consistently be making up your builds. They're core, they're strong. B tier is more niche and kind of weak. C tier is generally always bad, and D tier is unbuildable. So obviously there's going to be nuance here. This is of course for conquest. I'm looking at this from a higher level of play, not a gold level of play. This is what I would build, what I would not build, and this has a little bit more variance, I would say, in general than like a god tier list, because god tier list, I'm like, okay, this is a C tier god per se, but if you're good enough, that's your main, etc., play it. Here, probably would not have the same type of enthusiasm because it's like, why? Why would you, right? And that's really the big difference here. Okay, so right away, let's start with Soul Gem. So Soul Gem, I'm gonna put in the B tier. Can I show stats on this? No. I play a lot of this game, so I should be okay. We'll put Soul Gem in the B tier. So Soul Gem is a core mage item, and what you're going to see is that my mage items are generally going to be lower because they suck. That being said, Soul Gem is one of the better mage items. It gives you 60 int, 7.5% lifesteal, and 10 cooldown. And really the big idea with Soul Gem is it's a core proc damage healing sustain item that I think suffers from not having that much in. What you're going to see with a lot of the in items in general in this game is that they are really hamstringed by the fact that Tahuti is an enhancer, and so as a result, all of the intelligence items that are not named Tahuti tend to be somewhat underwhelming. There's a couple exceptions, but by and large, intelligence items are underwhelming in terms of their actual in stat, and as a result, Soul Gem and many other items suffer. Barbed Carver, we're going to put in the A tier. Lifesteal's insanely overpowered because anti-heal doesn't exist. That being said, I think Carver's a little bit overrated. People want to put it in the Reaper tier. I just don't think so. I think, generally speaking, you're probably going in solo lane, you're going Reaper Lash builds. If you wanted to go another offensive lifesteal item, you could go Carver, but I just don't think it's worth to go everything. Sorry, I just realized I was in a call. I wanted to make sure nobody joined. But yeah, generally speaking, I just don't think it's very worth it over some of the other ones. But again, I'm comparing Carver to like the best items of all time, so it's still a lifesteal item, still very strong. And again, strength lifesteal versus int lifesteal, it's not even close. This is 40 strength, 7.5% lifesteal, plus the proc of having more lifesteal, more damage, etc. Really powerful. Strength items in general are very overtuned. And this is like a weaker one. I keep saying weaker. This is A tier. This is better than Soul Gem. Cool. Okay, Lernian Bow. I'm gonna say B tier. I think it's kind of fallen out of the ADC builds and like the Mercury builds in the jungle. The big reason is I just don't really think there's a lot of space for it. It's not a bad item, but junglers who are building crit go like Dagger of Frenzy, Rage, Deathbringer, maybe a Magi's, Titan's Bane. They get their second active as well. Lernian Bow kind of took the place of that second active for maybe that Magi spot. So I feel like you're losing some type of core crit components or something. It's not better than Dagger of Frenzy. So good item, just like doesn't have enough space to play. Nimble Ring C tier. I think Nimble Ring is awesome. I really like the item. But with the removal of permanent stacking 3Ks, this item's efficacy on certain characters like Poseidon has just fallen off. It's already very niche, and it requires a lot of scaling, and there's just better things to go right now, but it's not completely horrible. Um, Vital Amplifier, I guess we'll put in the... I'll put it in the B tier. I mean, do I want to? Yeah, I mean, look, it's very niche. I think like on Soul, it's quite good. You could build it if you really wanted to on like Amma or Bologna. There are better items, but it's not actually a bad item. Again, I think Vital Lamp is very similar to Lernian Bow, where like it would be built more if there weren't clear-cut OP things ahead of it, but it is like okay. Bloodforge I think is pretty decent. I'm gonna put in the shit, man. Honestly, this is tricky. I think B tier as well. Like it's not a bad item. I think for certain ADCs like Artemis, if you want to go like a Death's Embrace on hit build without crit, and you go like a Bloodforge for extra sustainability and safety, it's quite good. But at this point nowadays, you kind of just go upgraded Aegis instead. So, like, is there really space? I don't know. I think it's fine. Not bad, but maybe not totally needed. Rip Talon, I just don't think there's a place for this item right now in the game. It doesn't have enough damage, I feel like, or survivability. I know it's a sustain item, but a lot of ADCs, if they're itemizing lifesteal, they're going into Death's Embrace and kind of calling it a day. You might be like, well, you just put Bloodforge here. I did. This has a shield. That's the big difference. This doesn't, right? So I'm getting a pure kind of lifesteal stat stick here versus a shield strength lifesteal item. I prefer this. I think Rip Talon's a bit weak right now. This might be a bit harsh, but I'm a big believer that if you're not building the ADC builds like fairly precise, you're kind of a bit screwed. So it's relevant. On that same train of thought, Braggy's Harp gonna be yeah. This one's tough. I mean, this one could be a D tier candidate. I'm gonna put in C tier because I think there's a couple of characters with hybrid scaling that can kind of use this. Say Amma, say like the Kernanoses of the world, say the Cupids of the world. I don't think it's good. Again, it's kind of just like a little bit fallen behind stat wise from a lot of these different builds. In theory, as an on hit item, does it kind of work? Yes, but it's just so much weaker than like a Sunbeam Bow or something that unless for some reason you're really worried about your mana and you don't have Death's Toll and you're going like a Cowl build on hit, I guess you could go Braggies, but there's like virtually no attack speed. It's strength and 10% attack speed. I think it's 35-25 or maybe 25-25, something like that. It's just not very good. Oathsworn Spear, easy S tier. Yeah, the jungle repertoire is completely broken. They have the best items in the game. By and large, it's usually not close, and Oathsworn Spear is one of many that this one effectively has flat pen. It reduces enemies' physical protection. So if I'm playing Susano, Thor jungle, Hercules jungle, Tsukiyomi jungle, not Aladdin because he does magical damage, but let me think of some more. Thanatos, right? Any of these characters and many more. I'm just like blanking right now. Very OP. I have some jungle videos coming out very soon, so I hope you enjoy those. And I've already uploaded some, but yeah, the jungle role just has the best itemization in the game. You're effectively getting flat pen, which is a very sought after stat, on a 25-50 gold item that also gives you 60 power, 60 physical strength power, whatever you want to call it. Again, 60 strength on an item when Soul Gem is 60 in. Strength and in are not a one-to-one comparison. This item is so unbelievably bloated and overstated, it's insane. Necronomicon, an item that I really helped bring back, I think, into the game by suggesting a thing that Hi-Rez kind of adopted. They didn't adopt my entire like vision for the item, but I think I had probably a strong vision that was probably a little bit overpowered. And I always mention like when I do an item rebalance idea that it's pretty open to interpretation in terms of like is my change stronger or weaker than like it needs to be, right? So with Necro, I gave a very strong suggestion, and I understood that, right? So a lot of the suggestions I give for these things are usually stronger than needed. For the upcoming video, that's not going to be the case. It's going to be a little bit more temperate, excuse me. But yeah, Necro got way better. This was a D tier item before. Definitely niche. You don't see me building it much because it is a mid lane item over a soul lane item. Again, if you die, really big complications, but this item is really nice if you get off to a decent start. The components are really bad, so you have to be careful. But if you can get this in one fellow swoop, and if you can just kind of, play a god like Nuwa, get some easy stacks, or just have a really solid positional game on a god like Hekate or even Poseidon or something, you can have a lot of success with this item. So niche, definitely not always good, but it can work, and it's still strong enough to build. Pendulum Blade. Pendulum Blade is tricky. So conceptually, this item is like an S tier, but I think in practicality at this point, I'd probably put it in A tier. Um, it got a couple price increases to the point that now it's 2,800 gold. At 2550, this item was a must buy and was built every game. In solo lane by like gods like Hercules and stuff, it got pricier. As a result, those characters completely fell out of the meta because you just can't rush this item, and you really want to rush this item on those gods. That being said, if you're ahead, you're playing Herc, you have like a god couple first levels and stuff. This is an alternative to like some of these sustain builds. It works insanely well in certain gods. In general, this item is just very good. It's just very pricey. So that kind of makes it a little bit awkward, but very, very good item. The Reaper, easy S tier. I think this one kind of goes without saying. Very simple concept here. Um, I can filter by tier. Okay, I should have done that earlier. Sorry about that. Tier 3 starters. Okay, I just want to make sure I don't have like everything messed up. Okay, cool. Um, yeah, Reaper is insanely OP. Like you have so much um lifesteal, 10% plus 65 strength plus the moonlight phase, you heal a ton. If you kill somebody non-moonlight phase, you still heal. If you get assists, you also heal. Super overstated item. I think realistically this item could probably use a 20 strength nerf and still would be built. So yeah, probably. I'm not gonna tier these in order, but I think Reaper is better than Oathsworn Spear and potentially the best item in the game. But anyways, we will move on. Okay, kin size. Kins is going to go into the B tier, I think. The problem with Kins is that it should be an A tier, but crit builds are generally speaking a little bit more attractive right now. And if you're playing into players who know what they're doing, this is probably a C tier item. Uh, and I say know what they're doing because a lot of the solo lane builds right now, you can actually make work with literally like 0 health from items. Like you'll go like Axe, Reaper, Lash, Berserker Shield, Relic upgrade, and then go like a Spirit Robe or something. And you have 0 health from items in a build like that. Kins is effectively, not effectively, quite literally useless, right? So that's really tricky. Now, if people start building the Spectrals or the Bluestone upgrades or the Anciles and stuff like that, all of a sudden you have value again. But generally speaking, like you kind of want there to be a threshold of health, and a lot of higher level players understand that's not really a thing. But sometimes it's inevitable, right? If I'm playing Chalk, I'm going to go Bluestone, I'm probably going to go Tritons. Like you have a lot of value here, right? So Kin's niche, but can be very good, can be kind of useless. Just keep in mind how much health people have. Tierfing is going to go into the A tier. I think Tierfing, just extra on hit damage, really good on some of the auto attack junglers. If you still want to play like a Fenrir jungle, like with a tanky hybrid build, still quite good in the ADC builds. If you're going to go ADC on hit, this is completely core. Very solid item. Um, Again, I think what's tricky about the on hit builds is it seems like they're a little bit less favored than the crit builds, but I do think they're still quite good. So you're happy to build this, truthfully. Ancient Signet, C tier. This item is not good. Why is this item not good? The proc is just pretty weak, like I think it can have value on like the Nuwas of the world with, non-aspect, but Nuwa non-aspect sucks. And yeah, that's about it. I really can't think. I mean, there was like Sun Wukong aspects, Ancient Signet proc viability, but that god is gutted now. After that, I can't really think of a character you'd actually build this on and feel somewhat happy about. I think it's just a very bad item. I'm actually considering putting it in D tier, but I'll put it in C tier for now because the int is at least okay. Typhon's Heart is going to go into D tier. Again, I talk about lifesteal items as being incredibly OP, but I try to always make the caveat of strength lifesteal items and only certain ones especially are very strong, whereas int lifesteal tends to be a lot weaker. So how come? Number one, I think this item is quite pricey. I think it's 2,600 gold, but it's 50 int and 12.5% lifesteal with the passive. The passive is not that valuable, though it is fun. Um, and the lifesteal is great, but the int amount is horrific. I mean, 50 int is just abysmal. And again, you're committing so much gold to it. You're committing 2,600 gold for the same amount of base int as Necronomicon, no stacks, right? So that just can't be right. And again, remember, like, yes, you're building this for the lifesteal viability, but like, if you're building some lifesteal magical power build, You're gonna do no damage. I mean, you do no damage as most mages anyways. You build some magical lifesteal build, you're gonna do nothing. Could you go like some lash variation on like a Cerberus with this? I guess, but like I think it's just so out there and just shit that it's not gonna work. Gluttonous Grimoire video coming out on this super soon. Terrible item. Can't wait to talk about it. I'll talk about it more then. Make sure to check that out. Executioner. A bit shocking, but I'm actually gonna put this in C tier. Here's the reason why. If I'm playing an ADC and I need to hit auto attacks to gain pen, um, I think it's what 4 to get the max allotted pen. Like, what am I doing? Seriously, I could just go Titan's Bane and have the pen right away. I know it functions a little bit differently because it's damage protection or it's protection reduction rather than pen, and that does function a little bit differently from like an equation sense. But it's not worth it. You just go Titan's Bane, don't go XC, and you get a defensive item or an oboe or whatever item you're foregoing or not going, and you're gonna have more damage potential via survivability, sustain, and safety, and that's just way better. This item's not needed. Its components are kind of wonky, and the stats are not that great. Cosmic Horror, another C tier item. I think Cosmic Horror is just kind of whatever's. Yeah, I mean, from a stat stick perspective, it looks like it should be really good. A lot of mid laners go Sands, so they don't need the cooldown that bad. If you go a conduit build, it is better. But again, I think there's just so many better items in the game. That's what you're going to see a lot, I think, in this list is there's not that much parity. Spear of Deso, easy S tier. This is a core mage item, insanely strong. The reset effects is super good, and one of the rare mage items that is incredibly powerful. And it's kind of required because of some of the other things. Fatalis. Fatalis is garbage, I think, right? Fatalis is probably an easy D tier. Again, these kind of utility, not really great core damage items have really fallen out of favor when you consider that like Magi's is just domineering these util spots. So are these second relics. So if I'm an ADC and I have let me just go like a Death's Toll Rush, right? And then I'm going into like Sunbeam Bow, going an on-hit build with like Tearfing as well, and Odysseus Bow and stuff like that. If I go Fatalis, I'm either delaying my pen, or I'm going Fatalis after pen, and then I'm not getting Magi's for 70 total prots, or like a second relic or something. It's just so not worth it. No matter what you really consider, that I just see zero value of building Fatalis ever. Now, some people might say, well, what about a god like Kali Aspect? Because Fatalis functions well on her. I guess if you want to take that one instance, you could put it up to C tier, but Kali Aspect is virtually unplayable right now, so I wouldn't even bother, honestly. And yeah, I'll just play something else. Avenging Blade is never built. It's not that bad though. I actually think it's pretty decent. You kind of need to go this on like a semi-bruiser auto-attacky jungle. I think Osiris and Bellona jungle are the two picks, non-aspect obviously for both of them, that you would do this on. On those characters, I think it functions really well, and it's like statistically wise, stat-wise, it's like a good amount of strength, health, and obviously the passive slowing. It's like a baby Frostbound. It's really not bad, probably quite underbuilt actually, and I'll try to get some footage with it. I think it's fine. Erendite. Erendite I like. This item's never built. I think this one's also quite underrated. It reveals people in invis around you in a circle, gives you some movement speed, strength, and cooldown. I think quite expensive, maybe 2600, 2650, but either way, uh, pretty good stats. Again, a lot of jungle items are very strong, so I think this one not being built is just because other items are better, not because it's actually bad. Daybreak Gavel, I mean, I don't know. Like this one's weird to me. I'm gonna put this in C tier. I haven't really built it much, so maybe this is unfair of me, but I don't think this item's great. It's health and strength or intelligence. It's an adaptive stat item, giving you more strength or in if you heal. I don't really see who you would build this on is kind of my issue with it. I think damage Afro builds, there's some potential. I think Emoja builds, if you're like kind of hybridy, there's maybe a bit of potential. Maybe some Guan Yu builds, but I don't know. I think this item could get better as more healer damage as characters like Hell come into the game. But right now, I think it's a bit of a finicky spot. Still, though, stat wise, it's not like horrible. Teko Kagi. This one sucks, which is very weird because Teko you would imagine should be good. It's insanely bulky in price, doesn't give a lot of cooldown rate, and there's so many better jungle items that are cheaper that it's just like not relevant. I realize that like the passive and stuff is actually good, and I put Pendulum high despite that, but I think Tech Okage is so non-essential on junglers or really any characters in the game that I can't really put it higher than this, even though it's like, stat-wise better than, I mean, it's definitely better than these D tier items, but I just think it's kind of bleh. Death Metal is, yeah, kind of shit, which sucks. I mean, it got buffed. It's so hard to make a damage item like this good because it's meant for like Amaterasu or something to build for her team, but you just like can't go this because your first item is going to be a damage item like Reaper or something, and if you go later, you'll be too squishy. If you go it early, it'll feel very blocky and weird. There's just like no place to build it. I really love the concept. I just don't think it fits right now with the current stats and stuff in the game at all. Musashi's very, very good. Musashi's, I think, A tier is honestly maybe a little bit low. You could argue this is an S tier item. Very good crit, movement speed, amazing for characters like Mercury and Jingwei. They don't even need to build this if they don't want to. But super strong item. Crit is very good right now. And these are crit gods, and a lot of ADC builds in general just go crit, so very good. Doom Orb is garbage. Debating D tier. I think C tier is a little bit more fair. Int mana regen, and you gain int for killing minions. On its premise, it's a decent item. In effect, I think Doom Orb needs a bit of a rebalancing. I'd love to see it get more int for getting kills on minions to then take into fights, and less int upfront so you get more value for having your passive stacked. Right now, this item just feels kind of sad. Jade Scepter got reworked. I haven't seen it a single time. I'm going to presume it's unusable, but I might be wrong on that. Literally have not seen this item once. It was already not that good. Post changes, which looks to me like a big nerf. I haven't seen it a single time, so I'll put it in D tier for now, though I may change this. Demon Blade, A tier. Again, crit good, easy peasy. Mirrodin is I think it's a B tier item. I really like it. It's kind of hard to like get and have success with. It can kind of work on Afro, kind of work on Raw. After that, I feel like you're getting into kind of shaky waters on like actually finding consistent case usage. I mean, Ganesha aspect's another one. But the damage potential is really good. I mean, if you are a mage and you can't go poly and stuff anymore, which is the majority of them, I think having extra damage with a Mirrodin is quite nice, so that's pretty good, I guess. Totem, we're gonna put in B tier. I think functionally this item is much better than Xe. It is protection reduction as well, but if you're on a tick god like Merlin, Agni, even Hecate, it's okay on, though I probably wouldn't go on Hecate. You have decent viability. You can also do this on like a Jormungandr with the pools. You could do it on a Cerberus. Not a bad item because, again, the ticks can apply very quickly. You don't have to go for individual auto attacks or something like that. So not a bad item. Uh, Worldstone, garbage. So the problem with Worldstone is that Worldstone incentivizes you to not go cooldown. Because if you go cooldown with Worldstone, basically like the way it works is that, okay, if I have a 100-second cooldown ultimate, Worldstone takes away 30%. I would have a 70-second cooldown for my ultimate, right? But only my ultimate, because Worldstone only affects your ult. But if I have cooldown, it's not like taking away those 30 seconds, so it's going to take the 30% off of the adjusted cooldown with cooldown inflicted. Basically, I'm not canceling each other out, but it's getting less efficacy. And like every mage build of all time goes cooldown unless you're going like a conduit book necro build, but then you don't have death. So I don't know. It's just weird. Like I think Worldstone just needs a bit of an adjustment in how it's designed so it interacts more friendly with cooldown and just takes away that 30% pre-cooldown, and then it'd be very good. But right now, it just has no place in the game. I might have explained that really badly, but I hope I'm kind of able to show you what I mean. It just is counterintuitive to build cooldown with it is the point. Crusher's an S tier item. Jungle item, 60 strength, 15 cooldown plus the procs. I mean, there's really nothing to say. It's just completely overstated. Deathbringer, S tier as well. Why? Strength crit increases your crit damage. Crit items are very good. Pretty simple. Soul Reaver. Easy A tier. I think you can argue S tier for this one. Uh, would I argue S tier? Yeah, I would. So here's the thing with Soul Reaver, and you might say, hey, well, kin size is here. Soul Reaver and kins function off of the difference of health. If someone has 10 more health than me and I have Soul Reaver, I proc it, and that's 5% of my int plus the health difference, which in that case would be nothing, but the 5% int is still going to proc. That's a really big deal. People build any amount of health, they're screwed. And the difference between me playing a Kate mid with Soul Reaver versus playing Artemis ADC with Kins is that Kins, not only is it going to be harder to proc its autos versus longer ranged abilities that are more spread, but also um, I'm going Death's Toll on Artemis, which gives what? Health. So I'm actually increasing my health threshold, meaning that if I'm Artemis with Kins, again, it's going to be harder for me to proc, but if I'm hitting a mid laner, I'm not proccing Kins. But if I'm the Akatse hitting the Artemis, or literally anybody on the map, I have less health than them. Maybe some mids I have the same amount, but I have less health than, the other ADC, the other jungler who has the Bumbas or Dagger upgrade, which gives them health. Some soul laners, again, we mentioned the certain builds that might not, but generally speaking, I'm way better off in terms of having less health than most people on the map, and I'll be consistently proccing this. So very, very good. I think functionally a little bit odd, but very strong item. Heartseeker, easy S tier. Again, another super overstated jungle item. Strength is Heartseeker is kind of like the Tahuti of strength items. It doesn't function the same, but it basically hard benefits off of getting a lot of a certain stat, in this case strength. Except the difference is that Tahuti is designed in a way so that all the items are bad to compensate, or most of them are bad, where the strength items aren't that. Again, there is like a very huge jungle bias and favoritism in this game. I don't know why. It's definitely the best role in the game, but it is what it is. Tahuti has to be an S tier, obviously, because you're enhancing in 25%. Very, very strong. Obshard, B tier. So I know it's weird to see a pen item be not in A tier or S tier even. Um, and here is why. Titan's Bane 50 strength, this one 60 int. When we look at stat conversions, usually I think a good strength to int conversion is like strength should be like if strength is times 1, int should be times like 1.4 or almost 1.5. So for this to be 50 and for this to be 60 makes zero sense. This should be like 80 um, to have more parity, or at least 75. It's not normal, it's not right. I think if you want to argue, we could put it like this, just because pen is needed every game. So I'll put it like this. I think this is a bit more fair. But Titan's Bane is so much better than Obshard that it really is just like disappointing, because functionally it should just be like an adaptive stat. And if you had an adaptive stat of 50 strength or 60 int, you would never go to this 60 int adaptive stat, because that'd be like, wow, that's so garbage, right? Dreamer's Idol, really fun item, impossible to build, like quite literally. I don't know how you build this item. It's so expensive. The components are not that amazing, and when you're putting in that much cost, there's just other things to build. Prashu, very similar situation. Yeah, I just don't think there's a build case. Like, yes, stat-wise, sure, these items are great, but they're so blocky, and like, it's the same idea. I mean, they're good in theory, but it's like, if you're having that much gold, you're probably gonna win the game anyways. So just build something cheaper and better, like more price affordable, and go to 3Ks quicker. Thebes is garbage. Why? Soul Reaver Kins. I don't know what this is supposed to be. I mean, this is Karen's coin, but I don't think there's any. Is this supposed to be Ivorebus? We'll get back to this. I'm not sure. Maybe. Um, Chandra's Grace is gonna go into the B tier. I think it's a nice item. It's kind of like a pseudo Yogis, but I'm giving a Yogis to my teammate. I like that concept a lot. I think it's a very cool item. Gives some base health, 20 cooldown rate's pretty nice. Gives some HP 5 to an ally. Obviously, health, tapping items like Soul Reaver and stuff are really, really scary in this game, but this is a lot less offensive than a Thebes or something, so yeah, I think it's okay. Not amazing, but it's okay. Yogis, to me, same situation, except this is just a more selfish variant in a lot of ways. Stone of Binding, unfortunately, D tier. Obviously, I made a video about this one. It did get some changes. I think functionally, it just is still too weak. Needs some buffs. I think it's in a safe spot in terms of design, but it just needs some help. Really fun item. I like it a lot. Want it to be better. I think the concept is correct now. It just the numbers are a little too conservative. Anchor. Anchor is going to go into the B tier. The heal steal is laughable, but the anti-auto attack thing is like okay. And the prots are very good. It's a high prot item, 35-30, physical and magical respectively, with no health, meaning it's really nice for these sustain builds to not, go up into health thresholds where you're worried about these health steal or these health shred items. So, pretty solid item. Better things out there, but not bad. Spectral, gonna go in the A tier. It's probably fallen a little bit to me because a lot of magical crits been happening with like Newt, Geb aspect obviously, and Soul. And this really does not shield you well for that, but crit is so good right now that this item is strong. The anti-auto attack speed also very nice. Definitely a good item. Eye of Providence is what this is called, right? I don't see this build at all anymore. I mean, stat-wise, it's fine. It's like 25 prots of each, and I think 300 health. Um, Yeah, I'd put it in C tier. Probably a little bit underbuilt. It's definitely very niche, but it's not like a terrible item. So I won't quite put a D tier, but there's definitely like I like these items over it, so I think C tier is fine. Amanita's Charm we're gonna put in the A tier. This is 15 prots of each plus I think either 250 or 300 health, and then the healing mushroom that gives mitts. Super good defensive support item. Definitely a item you should be building. Genji's Guard. I think B tier's okay. I'm never blown away by this item being strong, but I don't think it's horrible. I think B tier is like pretty fine for it. Stampede is going to be an easy A tier, another core support item that's quite good. Stat-wise, it's very poor, I would say, compared, well, not very poor, but it's not the best stat-wise, which is kind of by design because the active is super strong. Um, but you just be mindful that like your actual stats are kind of weak. It's the same thing with Mushroom. Again, these items actives are super strong, but the actual stats are kind of weak. Gargoyle is fine, very similar to Genji's in my opinion. Cooldown, magical prots, that's kind of what you're looking for in those. Shield of the Phoenix, or not Shield of the Phoenix, what is this called? Phoenix Feather. Unusable. I completely forgot this was in the game still, honestly. Yeah, it's trash. Magical health prots. You walk into the Soul Reavers of the world. The passive effect or active effect is very bad. It kind of just clogs an active spot when you don't even want it. Sucks. Phoenix Shield, also garbage. This item got like over nerfed because of previous sustain builds. Not saying it needs a buff. Well, it doesn't need a buff. It's garbage, but yeah, it gives you 15 prots, 225 health, 10 cooldown rates. So the stats are abysmal, and it heals you. But like, there's these other healing builds that are way better and give you way more damage. So it's bad healing, awful stats, and just a terrible item. This upgrade's actually quite good. I'm gonna put in the A tier. To get to this upgrade is really hard though. Base Vamp Shroud is terrible. This is upgraded Vamp Shroud, Blood Soaked Shroud. Very good item, just hard to get to because the base one sucks. Prophetic is split into base and upgraded. We're just going to put upgraded, obviously. And we're just going to put this in the S tier. No, I'm going to put an A tier, sorry. So this item is a little niche, which I said niche is mostly B. But the upside of stacking Prophetic in an efficient Prophetic game on a god that can use it is very, very high and like very good. But if I'm playing a character that doesn't have consistent damaging abilities, like I'm not, if I'm support, I'm not like Yemoja or Baron or something, or one of these other ranged magical supports, probably don't do it. If I am a soul laner and I'm into like opposing damage types, so physical solo, magical support, vice versa, I can stack that pretty easily if I'm on a god like Osiris or Thor or something, but I wouldn't want to go this on something shorter range like Hercules. So if you have ways to proc it and you have people to hit it on, incredible item. If you don't, not incredible item, but very good stat wise. Breastplate, fine, not bad. Health, or excuse me, prots, cooldown, mana, uh, lowering the cooldowns when you take damage. Pretty solid item. Again, I think these cooldown items are all like the same tier. Berserkers, very good. Berserkers on Amma, Bologna, Mordred even, quite strong. Other characters too, just soul laners with these lash builds. It's a really nice item after you go that like core thing if you want it. Magi's easy S tier, 35 prots of each for 2400 gold makes 0 sense. Contagion is going to go into the A tier. Because of the prominence of these sustain builds, I think Contagion is the only kind of strong anti-heal, healing transmutation, whatever you want to call it, item. The rest of them are kind of abysmal at doing that. You know, like Stygian is decent because of the stats, not because of the actual healing stealing effect. But this healing stealing effect is quite good. The stats are meh, but it's whatever. Erosion functionally should be very good because there's a lot of shields. In practice, I don't think it feels amazing, so we'll just put it there. Pharaoh's Curse. I don't know. Not a huge fan of. I think it's kind of like Braggy's. Like, it fits on certain builds technically, but there's just much better options. Stats aren't horrible, though. Glad Shield. Kind of requires you to build a very high prot build, but if you're going prophetic and stuff, like this kind of works, especially in gods like Osiris. If you have a character that has like prophetic anchor, you know, Yorm could do this as well pretty easily, maybe even Magi's, right? You're having a lot of shared prots, so Glad Shield, you know, scaling off of prots from items has pretty good value there. Onis, another B tier. I think it's a fine item. Health, magical prots, mitts, bit of mana, mana regen. Mana and mana regen kind of useless in this game, but the defensive capability, although niche, I think you really only build Onis if there's like a magical ADC and mid, is pretty nice. Leviathan's Hide, um, probably C tier. I think you can argue D tier honestly for this one. The problem with Leviathan's Hide is, do I want to argue D tier? I won't. But the problem with Leviathan's Hide is if I'm stacking health and there's anti-health shred, I'm completely screwed. I'll put in D tier. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, it's problematic when the stacking component of an item actively hurts you at a certain point, and that's what Leviathan's Hide does. If someone goes Leviathan's Hide, you know to go Soul Reaver Kins, and they are screwed. Upgraded beads, actually by far the worst upgraded relic in my opinion. Is that mean it's actually bad? Of course not. I'm gonna put in B tier. Yeah, Team Beads is really good, don't get me wrong, but the other upgraded actives are so much better selfishly, and I think selfish active usage, because you now have like a billion of them, is generally speaking better. And the thing is, base beads is really good, so upgrading your beads is, I think, a bit of a waste, especially since it's only cooldown in this rather than shared prots, like some of the other ones. So if I would upgrade something, I'd rather upgrade something else than get base beads rather than upgrade beads than get something else at a tier 1. So yeah. Spirit Robe, A tier, pretty good item. Shared prots, healing when you get CC'd, and extra prots for some time. Nice. Archmage's Gem, not great. Definitely not great. We'll put in B tier. I think as a proc item, it's okay. Gives you some mana, gives you some damage. Definitely a fall off because Conduit's incredible, but not a bad item. Just not the best either. Cowl. I think it's actually fine. I'm gonna put an A tier. I think it's kind of like Vamp Shroud. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. I think it's, what the hell is going on here? I think it's kind of like Vamp Shroud where the base is just not that good. The actual upgrade's good, but it's like you won't go the base, so you won't get to see this item because there's just Death Soul in the game. Heroism, very good. I mean, the support starters are insanely strong, I think pretty obviously, but that's kind of all the role has for, you know, a lot of the game, and they're under farmed. They're kind of designed to be OP, so it makes a lot of sense. Jungle starters are completely broken, so yeah, we'll just put both of these in S tier. Why? Insanely good initial into insanely good late. You have the adaptive stats, the health, attack speed, or cooldown, paired with the synergy of, you know, the damage increase with the dagger or the true damage application with the hammer. It's just insane. Bluestone also an S tier. I mean, honestly, starters are kind of designed to be good, so Yeah, like the starters are pretty good. Death Soul, other S tier. Uh, Sharpshooter Arrow, I think it's called. Probably A tier only because crit's a bit redundant, and you don't really need this to go crit. You can have a ton of, if not 100% crit easily without this, so kind of just not needed. And then this one, another S tier. This one, definitely the mage starter to go, S tier. And back to regular items. Shogun, C tier. Why? Who do you build it on? Ama is not really building this. You can go it on Nude Aspect, but she's just OP regardless, so it doesn't actually matter. Team Aura is still strong in concept, definitely better than like a Death Metal, but still not really buildable. Ansile is quite good. I'll put in A tier. The silence is a big deal. The anti-auto attack's a big deal. Pretty solid item. Umbral Link, A tier. A little bit worse than the other lifesteal items, but still a lifesteal protection item. Functionally, that's going to be very powerful. Definitely very strong. There's more items in this freaking game than I realized. Holy shit. Nemean is way weaker than it used to be. I'll put it in B tier. I don't think it's horrible, but actually, is it horrible? Kind of, actually. I think it's C tier. Yeah, I think Nemean sucks. Why? Because ADCs have way more prots than they used to. They have Aegis upgrades, so your Nemean reflects doing less. They don't actually have to hit you. They also have all the sustain. Like, you know, Nemean into abilities is not that strong. It just doesn't really have a home to me. I never build this item anymore. Mystical Mail, bad. Way worse version of Lash. Probably a D tier, and that's about it. Pridwin, B tier item probably. Fell off hardened viability after the change to like second relics coming in and stuff, you never will go Pridwin over a shell upgrade or something. So kind of fell off the planet, but it's not a bad item. Regrowth is going to go into the B tier. Good on certain characters. I don't know why it got nerfed, but it did, is what it is. Mantle is trash, very expensive, and 30 prots, 20 prots, 10 cooldown. Trash is a little bit harsh. Nah, is it? Not really. There's literally no purpose of building this item. You're gonna see there's a lot of no purpose of building. Like, and some of these items aren't even functionally like that horrible, but there's just items that are so much better that if you're not building them and you're building this stuff, you're just like depressed. Freya's Tears, pretty good. Shared Prots, cooldown, no health, and the passive is nice. I like this item. I think you should be building it if you don't want to go like breastplate because you want shared prots. And I think it's generally a bit better because it's more flexible. Heartward Charm, niche, but good on the gods that use it, I guess I would say. So I'll put it in B tier. If you're playing Guan Yu aspects, you're playing like Yemoja support, you could go it. Probably not an Yemo though. Afro support can go it. There's a couple other characters I'm just not thinking of right now that can go this item. I don't think it's awful. I don't think it's amazing. I'm kind of like mixed on it, but I think it's more valuable overall than these C tier items. Uh, I forgot what this shit's called. We're gonna put in C tier shared prots and health, and like the um, it's like when you take damage, you like have like not mitts, but like it's something plate helm maybe. I don't know. It's not good. Like whatever it is, I don't remember. It's not good. Uh, it's like better than these items. Shared prots and some health, not a ton. So it's better than these, but it's not good. Circe's, another B tier niche support item. Sometimes good on gods like Ymir, but largely not needed. Dwarven plate helm is abysmal. These full tank super prop builds, you know, like you would imagine, like with Glad Shield and all this stuff, functionally should be okay. In theory, this is in practice, this is super blocky in terms of price. Very expensive. If I go Dwarven plate helm, I want a 6 prot build, and then I won't do enough damage. It's just like, I don't know where you build this item. I've never seen this item built in the last, since it came out a couple of times and it was bad, so I don't know, just not great. Shabalban Effigy is like a B tier. I think it's fine. Shared Prots Mana, the passive is actually somewhat practical. Just quite expensive. Um, but like staying alive for a little bit longer can be really useful, obviously. And even though you'll probably die a little bit later, for a lot of these solos, if they can just kind of get their damage off to start, it's not over. Husar's Wings, Inbound made a video about this item like very recently. I'd recommend you guys check it out, or just slows in general. Hussar's wings should be really good, but the stats are blocky, they're weird. There's a lot of slows in this game, so you would think that Hussars should be bought all the time, but it just feels very bad. I think a lot of that comes down to the components being really weak, and as a result, very hard to justify actually building, but functionally is a strong item. Helm of Radiance, quite good. Gods like Osiris, Baron Aspect solo, Cerberus solo can use this, as well as some other gods like even Amaterasu, and like Aphrodite hybrid solo, the Morrigan solo with like a Lifebinder tank build. Not a bad item by any stretch of the imagination, and one that I think is probably a little bit underbuilt. You know, in Fizzprot's pretty nice combo. Asclepius, trash. What is this called? Scepter of Dominion. Uh, yeah, stop building this. It's fun. It's cool. I like the item conceptually. Statistically wise, like why did I say statistically? Stat wise, it's horrific. So the active is really nice, but the stats are garbage. So I see a lot of people build this. It's okay sometimes. It's largely not good, but people build this way too much. And it's very fun. It has potential use case, but in ranked, when things are chaotic anyways, you're just kind of sacrificing a lot of your game state for bad stats and very limited contingent inconsistent value. Lifebinder, still very good. I probably would still put an S tier. I think this item just fell off the map because it lost 20 in, which I don't think was super relevant. I still think it's very good. So yeah, Shield Splitter. Hmm. Stat wise, not that bad. You know, I think it's like 40 strength and 20 prots of each, maybe. It's actually quite good. I'll put it in B tier. I really want Shield Splitter to get 100% shield reduction on it, even if that means sacrificing some of the base stats. I think Shield Splitter splitting 65% of a shield is really dumb for the name. Like, they should just call it Shield Two-Thirder or something at that point. Really unfunny joke, I know. But it just feels like I'm getting sold short when I build this item. I'm building a kind of unflashy stat stick. I think it's 35 strength, by the way, not 40. But either way, I'm building a kind of unflashy stat stick that's supposed to shred shields but doesn't actually. Kind of weird. And not bad, though. Golden Blade. B tier as well. I think on Amma it's okay. Sylvanas Aspect I like. Osiris base, it's fine as well. Again, with these prophetic builds and stuff, definitely fine. Gem of ISO, horrible. Eye of the Storm, terrible. Brawlers, B tier or A tier? I think B tier's fine. I like Brawlers, kind of. Um, I feel like this item feels invisible sometimes, even though the stats are actually quite good. It's a stat stick item, supposed to be good into healing. To me, though, I think into healing it largely feels like Anchor, where it's like not actually super relevant. Again, not the worst, not the best. It's solid. Like, again, stat wise, it should be quite good. I never feel like it's amazing. I feel like I should put an A tier, but in actual feel, I feel like B tier is fine. Uh, Runeforged, I really like. I'm a big Runeforged fan. Really good on Thor, really good on Herc. If Lash Reaper wasn't completely broken, you'd be building this a lot more. Void Shield, awful. Void Stone, also awful. Shifter Shield, not terrible, but still pretty bad. Um, yeah, I like the item a lot actually, but some of these like weirder, less core items have been completely phased out by second relics. Completely phased out, and this is one of them. I actually feel like although I love second relics as a concept, them taking up an item slot kind of defeats the purpose of the extra item slot in this game. You know what I mean? So it's like a bit awkward. I don't know. Triton's Conch, quite good. Definitely an A tier item. You want to be building this on your chalks, on your new aspects, on your Bacchus aspects. Really, any strength in God, even Sun Wukong and stuff, can use this pretty well. Nice item. Jormungandr, of course, quite good. Helm of Darkness, I think, has fallen out of the game. Pretty bad actually. It's probably a D tier item. Upgraded shell active or thing replaced it. This item needs some help. I know you can go invisible, but like it's like a noise and yeah, I mean I guess it can work, but like I don't know. I think the invis surprise on someone is less valuable as people are more tanky in general. Stats aren't very good. It's very expensive, and then the shell value is just like negated by actual shell. Lash, guys, I am a solo laner, and I sincerely think that this game is way less fun with this item being in the game. I am benefited the most off of this item role-wise more than anybody. I think this item needs to be removed. It is garbage. I hate it. I can't stand this item. I know I'm not ranking these things in order. This is the best item in the game. It's miserable. We need to get rid of it. Nobody likes this item. It sucks for the game. It's terrible for literally every single role, and it's garbage. Okay? Anyways, Sphere of Negation, another S tier. So why Sphere and S? If you are into a magical solo and you build Sphere because you're able to, say you're a hybrid scaler like Amma or Chalk, or you're even just like a guardian like Cerberus, you feel amazing. This item's magical prots cooldown, or not cooldown, excuse me, in, as well as the shield that like just kind of comes back all the time. Very, very good. One of the best items in the game. Wish Granting Pearl. I don't understand the purpose of this item at all. D tier. Uh, Now these are non-upgraded starters. I guess we can rank these. Heroism, S tier because it's gold spooling. War Flag, S tier because it's gold spooling. If you're a support and you're not building one of these starters, you're completely throwing the game. By the way, so please build those starters. Dagger of Frenzy, you're not Dagger of Frenzy, excuse me. Oh, Dagger of Frenzy's still here, but yeah, okay, I was wondering where it was. S tier, the jungle starters are super overstated. Strength, health, cooldown, or strength, attack speed, health. I don't know why jungle starters have better base stats than laning starters. It makes no sense. But yeah, the jungle starters are super stat inflated, especially at the base. Um, Conduit, insanely good early. Very much helps a lot of mages. Very strong. Sands, I think it's like A tier. The upgrade's amazing. The base you feel kind of sad with, but it is still cooldown, so it's not that bad. Death's Toll, I think non-upgrade is like A tier. It's definitely not as good, but the upgrade is so good, so that's kind of why you go it. Cowl, kind of a sad starter. Arrow, kind of a sad starter as well. Like, they're not terrible, but a bit sad. Warrior's Axe is an easy S tier. Yeah, I realized that the starters were like all over the place. I apologize about that. Bluestone is probably going to go into the A tier. Axe is better for a fight POV for sure, but you know, it's just kind of a different gods type of thing. Vamp Shroud is trash. C tier, because the upgrade's at least quite good and you're going it for the upgrade. I realize that, like, yes, they're isolated, but you know, I still have to factor in what this actually leads to. So maybe it's a bit unfair, but yeah. Bloodbound Book, it's a shield. It's kind of like Bloodforge, just an inversion. Probably weaker, but I don't think it's quite C tier. I'm going to just put Books in B tier. I think it's fine, but probably should get infinite stacking on it. Sundering Axe, easy S tier. Very good. And we have some duplicates, no? Oh, no, excuse me. We're just looking at the D tier. I was like, what's going on? Aerosbow, unusable. Post healing changes, this item just died. Yeah, the healing changes led to some items becoming completely unbuildable, led to some of them becoming very OP. This was one of the earlier. Bancroft's really bad, but a little bit better. You can kind of go on like the in Lash lifesteal builds, so it's okay. Only for that case. Aside from that, I think largely useless. Gem of Focus, easy S tier. Mobility is very strong, and it's a lot more affordable and gives better cooldown, which is really important for Techo or for ability spamming, and mages typically are more friendly with ability spamming than like junglers and stuff that would be building Techo. Also, junglers have way better items in general, so like I'm kind of pairing Techo against OP strength items, or I'm pairing Gem against, you know, the Book of Thoth and you know, Ancient Signet and stuff. So yeah. Chronos Pendant, I think, is A tier. I think it's fine. You could argue Gem is better, and I probably would, but Chronos is good on some gods. Components are really cost friendly and stuff, just kind of low on int. Again, that is by design, but it's like you need some heavy int hitters in there. I feel like there's not that many. Transcendence, I think, sucks. We'll put it in C tier. Literally no purpose of building this item unless you're playing Danza with the double stack build. That's it. Who else? What else do we have here? Poly. Yeah, Poly's. Where'd I just put it? Oh, whoops. Poly's a C tier item now. Yeah, like the shift just was a hard nerf. I really don't know why it happens. You know, you build this on Danza, you build this on Neath if you really want to. It's just so much weaker. It might actually be B tier, but this item is just so pathetic to build now in comparison. It feels terrible. Really, really sad to see what's happened to it. Dagger of Frenzy, easy S tier. This item is being built by junglers, by ADCs, some solo laners even. Uh, yeah, very, very strong. Is my S tier too big? It looks too big because of the starters, to be honest, but I don't think it's actually too big. It just looks too big because of the starters. Um, Jotuns, I think B tier's fine. Cooldown, kind of like Chronos Pendant-esque, except I think the strength items are overall just better, like comparatively. Like I think Chronos relative to magic items is generally better. Jotuns I think falls a little bit. Hydra's easy S tier, super, super powerful, just insanely strong. Sunbeam Bow, another S tier, very good if you want to go the on-hit builds. This is what's keeping them alive. Definitely want to go Sunbeam in those. Oboe, A tier, pretty good item. Arcing autos are very nice. Rage is another A tier to me. Don't actually need it in these script builds. You can go Musashi's Demon Blade stuff instead. But if you do go at very high payoff, just very, very bad early. Divine Ruin's a joke, but the base stats are at least okay, so B tier, but the actual anti-heal function doesn't do anything. Devos is a C tier. It is, no, it's probably a B tier. You know, it's stat-wise actually better than Reaper base stat once you have it stacked, but stacking it's kind of arduous, and Reaper has an OP passive, so if Reaper was worse, Devos would be built a lot more. There's literally zero purpose of building this when Reaper exists, but it's not actually a bad item at all. And we have Bracer of the Abyss. Probably B tier, probably a little bit underplayed. I think on your Shibalanka it's very good. You can go it on like Ama and stuff. It's not that bad. It's kind of more of a PvE thing, but with EFG being so strong, it kind of actually has a bit of value. So not terrible. Ragnarok Wake, super fun. Not actually practical, but super freaking fun. I need to get some more games with this. Stats are okay, but the actual active is just not really practical. Shell upgrade, insanely strong. Anytime that an upgrade is giving you 20 prots of each, yeah, best believe that's an insta S tier. So same with Aegis. Blink is really good because it's a combat blink, so that's also an S tier. And this, our final item, Sunder, probably like B tier. I think upgraded Sunder is fine, but it gives you strength, not prots, so you feel a bit weird going it. And yeah, that's our tier list. I mean, I know it looks a little bit weird because of all these starters. I kind of wish I did the starters separately now that I think about it, or maybe did the starters like not at all. Not because they're not relevant, but I just feel like it almost cluttered this S tier. Really, the big concepts you should take away is that the jungle items are overtuned. Lifesteal in terms of the Lash iteration is extremely overtuned. Tahuti and Soul Reaver and Deso are keeping mages alive as well as gems. So if you're not building a combination of these four items, you are completely griefing. Conduit is really good, but it falls off when it gets upgraded. Sands is weaker, but it upgrades when it gets upgraded. Bluestone and Axe are both very good depending on what you're playing. And again, the jungle role is super feasting. ADCs have potential depending on which way they build. But yeah, these are the three best upgraded relics in the game. A lot of content there. We went for literally an hour, so thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think, and I will catch you all very soon. Peace out.